Hey, how's it going? This is Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House over in Japan. I hope you're good, hope you're genki. I'm back by popular demand. Maybe. Okay, here's my review of The Amazing Spider-Man issue 25, which came out today, Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. This is priced at $6.99 because it's a special bumper issue for some reason. God knows why. It's issue 25. I don't remember 25 ever being a milestone in the past. And it's legacy number 919, so nothing special with those numbers. Not to me anyway. But as always, it's written by Zeb Wells. But this time we have two main artists on the book. The first one is a Canadian artist called, I think it's pronounced Kaare Andrews. And there's John Romita Jr. as well. So let me give a quick review or a quick intro to my review. Hold the front page. Some of our questions are finally answered as we get Mary Jane's story after 24 issues of stretching the story arc out. Questions such as why she suddenly has two young children, what Paul means to her, and more importantly, what Peter means to her now. We also get a second confrontation between Peter and the Fantastic Four, plus the reappearance of Captain America. The main story features two artists, Kaare Andrews and John Romita Jr. Kaare Andrews draws the first part of the story, which is set in the alternate New York where MJ is trapped with Paul. Boo hiss. Andrews' art is refreshing, it's vibrant and it suits the story well. He draws MJ looking like a shapely woman, obviously remembering that she is a supermodel after all. Some artists seem to have forgotten this. John Romita Jr. does the art for the second part of the main story, from when Peter reappears through the portal to rescue Mary Jane. It's a little bit jarring after getting used to Kaare Andrews' style, but to be fair to Romita Jr., he does draw a decent Fantastic Four and Captain America. That's right, they both make an appearance near the end of the story. I gotta say, I was surprised to see Marvel reuse some of Romita Jr.'s art from a couple of the earlier issues. I counted maybe four or five pages of recycled art. Very strange. A little bit lazy as well. And don't forget, we're all paying extra for this. Also included is a fun 10-page bonus story written by Rainbow Rowell and featuring art by Alvaro Lopez. In this story, Peter is going to a wedding party with Felicia, Black Cat, but his plans get interrupted by a robbery. So, what did I think of the issue? Well, this might surprise a few people, but actually, I pretty much enjoyed this issue. If you step away from the story and what it means for long term with Peter and Mary Jane, I think it was probably the art that really got me with this. Kaare Andrews' art style, I love. I really like it. I think it suits the story. I like the way he draws MJ. I like the way he draws the briefly see Spidey in this. Yeah, it's just it's a different style from John Romita Jr. and yeah, as I say, I find it very refreshing. It's a good, well-paced story. It tells exactly what happened between the time that Peter was pushed through the portal, well, sent back by Mary Jane, because he was planning to send her back, and she kind of subverted our expectations by swapping the device and putting it on him, so he's gone. And then it just charts the time, kind of the time spent, which is a little bit confusing at times, but how long it has been, since Peter passed through, and then when he comes back to rescue her, because in the supposed real world, it's a matter of days or a week at the most, but in this dimension, it's about 4 years. She charts it up to 4 years of being there, living there with this weird guy Paul, and what they find there. So I'm sorry if I'm upset by saying this, but I actually, I pretty much enjoyed the story. Not saying it's great, I'm just saying that it's definitely not a poor story. It's pretty well written, and I think a lot of that was helped by this really dynamic and exciting looking art style by Andrews. So, I don't know what to do. Do you really want a story summary? Are you interested? You're probably going to go and buy it anyway, aren't you, this issue, if you're a big Spidey fan? Or if not, if you're not a fan and if you're not buying, maybe you do want to know what happened. But to be honest, not a lot happens, as I say. It's just Mary Jane and Paul stuck in this weird dimension, this other universe, and how they get by. And then at the end you've got the reconciliation between Peter and the Fantastic Four, and then even Captain America comes into it. And that's pretty much it. Okay, if you want to know, and you don't mind spoilers, I will show some of the interior art and basically break down parts of the story. So, please keep watching. Here we go. The issue opens showing the battle between Wyatt the God and Peter Parker Spider-Man. Mary Jane helping out there. MJ, what are you doing? Then we see MJ attach this device onto Peter instead. He was hoping to give it to her, and it sucks him back through the portal back to the real world. No! Sorry, Peter. And then we see Gods Don't Die Gentle. As the portal was closing, it slices Wyatt the God in half, killing him instantly. And we're left with the view from Mary Jane's perspective as she sees the portal closing. What do we do now? Elsewhere we have the mad mathematician Rabin screaming that Wyatt is dead. He's hoping that Mary Jane, who he calls the Scarlet Woman, her sacrifice will enable him to become a god, become the god Wyatt, take his place. Then we start to get the passing of time. We get 1 day later to start with, and we've got Paul, everyone's favourite, Paul, saying, come on, we've got to get moving. The emissary, Rabin, he knows where we are. He knows this is where the god died. Shut up, says Mary Jane and smacks him across the face. She wants to wait. She has to wait for Peter. I'm not going anywhere. Then we jump to 1 month later, and we see them working on some kind of weird glyph-based equipment. Paul's telling MJ that you've seen what symbols can do in this world, if you can combine them, and she says the word jackpot. What? She's telling him that it looks like a lucky 7 there. It made me think of hitting the jackpot. This seems to get Paul thinking. We jump ahead to 3 months later and we see what appears to be the end of a fight between Rabin, MJ and Paul. He get you? Yeah, in the shoulder, not too deep. How about you? In the leg, but I'm okay. Paul's telling her again, Mary Jane, look, he knows where we are. He's going to keep coming back until he gets us, until he kills us. And she agrees, okay, it's time to move. I've got to say, I love the image here by the artist Andrews. Look at that. She reminds me of Sarah Connor from the Terminator movies. What do you reckon? Especially T2. This is where the time thing starts to get confusing. It was like a month later, 3 months later, a week later. So are these all like adding up on top of each other? I guess they are, but anyway, we've got them crawling through some wreckage somewhere. Shh. What are you waiting for? 3 months later now. Again, we've just skipped 3 months. It's winter, it's cold. They hear a sound in a cabin, and look who they find. 2 small children. Do you know the Scribble Man? Then it's a week later and we've got the 2 children. The boys having nightmares, screaming awake. Don't touch me, don't touch me. MJ and Paul are like working out they've probably been abandoned or they've lost their parents, probably even orphans. And Paul's not happy. He's like, look, we didn't plan this. 2 children makes everything harder. And she gets angry. She's like, I'm not leaving them, Paul. If they're too much trouble for you, you can go. Paul is shocked by this. Well, I would never say that. I didn't mean that. And she says, I know you wouldn't. Okay, good then. Then it's a month later and we see Owen, it's called Owen now, the boy, having something to eat. And he seems to be accepting MJ as a surrogate mother. Again, a jump to 3 months later and we got this really cool, sexy image of MJ. And look at Paul. What's happened to him? He's gone really buff. He's almost as big as Zack's. Unbelievable. He's talking about her suggestion for the symbols, about the jackpot. Maybe she's had a good idea. Maybe this is something that could work. And then as they're adjusting the controls of this weird device, I guess it's a device that MJ is trying to use to either get back to her the real world or to fight the emissary. But they accidentally touch hands and then we get this moment. Mary Jane, and you can see Wells is setting it up for a romantic relationship which is going to happen soon. Days become months, become winters, become summers. See, they're using the plural words there, so we're talking like winters means like a couple of years, doesn't it? And it's showing Mary Jane and Paul growing closer together. We see them fighting the emissary at times, and we see these weird glyphs and symbols as part of this crazy alternate dimension, this alternate universe. They appear to be living in a safe place, somewhere protected by these glyphs maybe, these symbols. But then the young boy, Owen, he's looking at someone outside. What does the scribble man want? He asks. I don't like how he's looking at me. The sunblood returns for you. And then we see here he is, he's back, Rabin. But has he become the god now? I thought he had to kill Mary Jane to become the god, but he looks pretty scary there. He's holding what he's calling the Blade of Decay. Sounds like something from a D&D movie. They start to fight. We see Rabin going for MJ. Paul dives onto him trying to protect her, but he gets knocked flying. And then Mary Jane tries this device. It doesn't seem to do anything. Rabin even starts laughing, but then suddenly we see this weird kind of crazy chance slot machine moment here. Ding, ding, ding. And what does it do? What's this? Cotton candy? He laughs it off again. Your life offends me, as it denies me godhood. He's coming in at them both now. He's about to attack. It looks like they've had it. When? Shack! There was a bright light and suddenly you were there. It's Peter. He's here at last. And we see the art has changed. John Romita Jr. takes over on the art duties here. But I've got to say, I think these pages have been shown before. Look at this one. These look very familiar to me. We've got Peter attacking Rabin, which we've seen before. And then we see a blade piercing Rabin's chest. Someone stabbed him from behind. Looks like it was Paul. It seems to have worked. It's killed him. And then again we get this repeat art where we see Peter delighted to see Mary Jane because it's only been a few days or a week for him. But she turns away. She pulls away from him. You've been gone a long time. A lot has changed. And that's when we have Peter seeing the two kids for the first time. And Mary Jane telling him, they're my family. Okay, at this point there are still 10 pages to go, but just let me read from this last couple of pages here. So we have Peter and MJ in what appears to be a hospital waiting room. And MJ's talking to Peter. You brought us all home, you saved us, but well, I guess you know the rest. How long was I gone? Years, almost 4. I thought I'd never see you again, Peter. And then Peter asks, so what about you and Paul? Yes, says MJ. Me and Paul and Romy and Owen. I never stopped, says Peter. I never stopped. I came back. I know, Peter. Thank you. And then he's telling her that, we took a walk. It was only a month ago. We were going to move in together. You asked me and I said I was a mess. And you said, when are you not a mess? And she tells him then, Peter, I'm sorry, but I'm not leaving him. Well, that seems like an apt place to stop the story summary, so I will. Just know there's still about 8 pages to go, and as I mentioned earlier, the beginning of the review, it's got Peter meeting up with the Fantastic Four, or I should say, the Fantastic Four finding Peter, and also Captain America, but nothing new really happens. You know what's going to happen, you can probably guess it all yourselves. Now, if you want to go and buy it, go for it, because it's worth it for the art, I would say. Especially the first half, the first 3/4 of the book is really good. I love Kaare Andrews' art. The bonus story, I'm not even going to touch on that. It's fine. It's just it's a fun little story of Peter having bad luck yet again. But man, don't you just want to see him being happy, having a good time, having things go well for him for once? Aren't you just sick of this endless poor Peter Parker crappy luck? I know I am. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my review. I know this was a bit of a long one. I was trying to edit it before I went to bed last night. Couldn't get it finished. I've been doing it this morning before I've got to go to work. I've got maybe 20 minutes left, so I don't even know if I'm going to have this out. Will it be uploaded in time before I go? So, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video. This is Gray from Akazashi's Tea House, signing off for an early Thursday morning here. Matane.